Whoa, whoa. Mic check. Excellent. Everyone, give me 17 seconds just to quickly share this. Hold on. It should be. There we go. Click on that one. Click on that one. You press that button. It's all good. Voila. Share. Share. Excellent. Fantastic. Super good. Super good. All right. Hello, everyone. Let me quickly get the right thing on the screen. Oopsie daisy. All right, cool. Messages coming in. Where's the show? It's live, my friend. All right, where are we? All right, share screen. Hold on. I think it's that one. Oh yeah. All right, I should have really let me get more. So welcome to the Betterment Broadcast show 123, the 123rd show. That's what I've been told. So we're let's go through it. So this we always start the show with this. If you never know, now you know. When it comes to work as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. Yes, we struggle with this, and let's see if we can fix that. Next one. Individually, you might find a non-black person who shows some kind of camaraderie towards black people. However, collectively, black people have no friends. Very important. Remember that quote. It's very important. And last, but by no means least, constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. That's right. Fantastic. So we're going to share that link today, so we can debate and talk and chop it up with the family. But when we do, let's remember the 4D values when we discipline when we talk to other black people, which is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Use those 4 things when we're talking, and it'll make life ever so slightly easy when we talk to black people. Right? Can use using the descriptive language instead of derogatory language help black people stay better on topic. Very important thing there, because we'll be unpacking that today as well. Yeah, so if we can try to use constructive language or descriptive language, I should say, when we talk to our other brothers and sisters, that'll be very handy. And so, for those who don't know, those who are new, those who might be seeing this for the first time, to be asking yourself, what is Black Betterment? Well, very simply, it's black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. Very simple, really. It's a lifestyle. This broadcast promotes a lifestyle. That's right. A lifestyle of bettering the community, bettering yourself, all that good holistic stuff. So don't forget that. That's what Black Betterment is. It's a lifestyle of black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. There you go. That's what Black Betterment is, my friends. Let me just quickly check something out. Make sure I'm not. Da-da-da. Oh, excellent. I don't know what that is. Cool. So now let's move on. So copyright disclaimer. We're going to throw some videos, show some videos. Section 107 of the Copyright Act. So yeah, it's not ours, but it's just using it for case study reasons. La la la. I'm gonna put the link in here for the Black Betterment Instagram. I always say every week, and I fail to promote it very adequately. So feel free to share this with your friends and family. Tell them there's a show out there that tries to be constructively help black people as a collective unit on a show, and the idea is for us to make our own shows doing the same thing and join this particular show and be constructive. And you're welcome to join if you're black. There you go. Taking responsibility and all that good stuff. Excellent. Cool. So now, what is okay, here's the 2 topics for today. Can the Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help black people more? Ooh, very interesting one there. We should unpack that very soon. And how can black people, should be a capital there, disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? This comes from, sometimes unfortunately when brothers and sisters debate or go live on TV or just interact in general, sometimes it can be very destructive. And we ask, is there a way we can do it more constructively? So let me find out. I'm going to start this. Funny enough, before I even jump into the topics, that maybe next week we'll cover it. There's some 1 or 2 news, maybe just one of them. There was I forget getting name. There's a French. I'm not going to say she's French. There's a black lady, and I think something's happened with her. This is kind of news that I've just found out. So I think she started a black-owned brand, and I think someone's tried to take it from her, and she's calling to the black community to let them know. So we'll do her a favor and play it now. It's just cutting, so I don't know much about it. I'll see if I can find more by next week. Hopefully you guys can research. Let's play that for now while I sort something out. Play!
It's been 5 days now.
Rewind, please.
If you're a black person right now, please listen. I need your help, please. It's been 5 days now. I've not been able to sleep. I can't sleep. And what is the most painful thing is that my sister and I, who founded Grassfields, have been taken away from, our company has been taken away from us. And during all this process, these 5 days, they have just been ignoring us. They have sent us letters, legal documents, trying to silence us in not talking. And they keep posting on our Instagram page. I'm talking about the investors that we went into business with. Like nothing has happened. They hijacked our emails, our company emails, even my personal email. They went into my personal email, my Instagram. And they have done so many unlawful things during this whole process. And I'm saying that if they have the audacity to do this, they've done it before. But I'm going to fight for my business. They say we have fought for the last 3 years to make sure that Grassfield remain alive, even though my sister was sick. Today, I'm going to fight for Grassfields. I'm going to make sure that they pay for what they have done to us. Please help me.
Okay, so so this is the grass. I believe this might. I could be wrong. This might be the one that the two sisters. I think maybe one passed away. I can't remember. So I'll try to find out more. Maybe we can offer some assistance to this sister. We'll find out more about the story. But that was just cutting news in there. So hopefully that's never too good. So we'll see what we can do about that. All right. Now we're gonna go back to very dark mood there. All right, cool. Let's go there. Which one should we do first? Should we do the Black Lives Matter one first, or should we do let's do the Black Lives Matter one. Well, no. Let's while we Well, here's what we can do. We'll do the Black because it's more of an exercise. So what we'll do is let's listen to a video. There's two brothers here. Let me see. Shaka Bars, I would say versus, and Brother Chase. For those, if you're in the Black Betterment community and pro-Black and all the other constructive Black people, B1 and stuff, you'll probably be with one of their work or both their work or some of their works that they're doing or trying to do. And I think they had. So for those who don't know, it's probably best we start this one first because it probably ties into the next one as well. So I think in the States, they're going for reparations at the moment, and so that they start certain ideologies and movements based around being descendant from enslaved chattel slavery and enslaved people on the land of America. Very similar to what's happened in the Caribbean with some of the movements there. And they use names like FBA, which is Foundational Black American, and ADOS, which is American Descendant of Slaves. And there's maybe Freedmen as well. There's some, but those are a bit older. And then Native Black, which is a bit older as well. So there's a lot of words for it, which is very, very constructive, trying to find ways to get reparations. So all power to them, and we'll support where we can. And I think, but sometimes there's complaints about Caribbean and African people in the particular Americas who don't support the Black struggles or actively sabotages the Black struggles and does unproductive stuff. So there's been in forums you might see them kick off, and I think this would diaspora wars. So I think that this might be about that. So these are two up and coming quite prominent speakers in certain areas. So seeing if they can communicate in ways that's constructive, that they can try to find solutions. Listen, who is they? Who went into her? Okay, so just for those who came in, those coming now, we showed a video of a sister. Let me get the name. Give me 40 seconds. Hold on. The name was Grass Fields. I think it's quite a famous brand. And I think they're trying to take her brand away. And I think her sister passed away. I could be wrong. Well, we're going to try to do more research on her brand being taken away. Maybe we can do a campaign to see what's going on. So that's that. But anyway, back to this one. We're observing to see these two brothers can have this very crucial debate about, I guess, divisive behavior or delineation or what it might be. And it might get a bit hot and heavy at times. Who knows? But we always definitely want to study and see if people can be respectful, and sometimes get a bit hot and winded. But either way, we don't want to have name calling and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to see these two brothers, and then we're going to jump to the first topic. So let's go.
We just had a Pan-African conference, and there were a few conversations about this in Ghana the other day, and I think, you know, I'm friends with Tariq. He's a great guy. I'm friends with a bunch of different people, but I think the rhetoric. I'm not particularly saying that it's massively harmful. I think it's just, you know, we divide ourselves amongst ourselves, and I think it's disingenuous to say what African immigrants have done for FBAs, given that you've got a whole tech industry from this war that's killing millions of people in Congo, that's funded by the government of the USA, which Black American FBAs are in the army of. There's a lot of, so between 1977 and 2008, there was $938 billion moved offshore from Africa. In 2008, Africa was $252 billion in debt. So you got white folk in your country who are making Africa a net creditor and a net debtor at the same time. At the same time as basically the device that we're speaking on, the lights in your house, and a lot of the things that, you know, we take for granted now, that's all come from Africa. Now it's not FBAs that have mines in Israel. It's not FBAs that have mines in Sierra Leone. The biggest diamond mine in Sierra Leone is owned by an Israeli. It's not FBAs who have, you know, mines in South Africa or in Congo, but you are tacitly complicit in the benefit of that phenomenon that's happening. And that's why I built a village in Congo, because I was like, well, I've got a phone, so I'm part of this economy of genocide where 10 million people in the Congo have been killed in the last 20 years. So I think it's disingenuous, where I was speaking to Burna Boy about this the other day. He was like, the reason why we ain't linking the way that we should be linking is because we've decided that there's a disconnect between us, when really we are all, in the eyes of Europeans, Arabs, Chinese, Indians, that doesn't matter, FBA, Hebrew Israelite.
So what the brother's saying here, brother Shaka Baz is saying that, you know, many different Black people in the diaspora, but I suspect he's saying that unfortunately non-Black people see all the different various tribes, shades and names of Black people as I guess one kind of thing that's they don't really like. I suspect that's what he's saying. So that's Karen.
Nation of Islam, Afro-Caribbean, you know, man from Ghana or a man from Congo. We are all Negroes in their eyes. And I think the thing that makes the most sense, while you guys get your reparations and you get what is due, you also create, and that's what we did this conference, and you know, Chance and Vic and Dave Chappelle and Erica Badu and everybody came over to Ghana to create a creative line of communication through music. But I'm like, we need to create, and that's why we're organizing. We're going to organize another conference, which is going to be a business trade fair between Black diaspora and Ghana, because I think that the only way that we're going to be able to not rely on white people is to have our own trade directly with primary and secondary economy. Like FBA should be manufacturing products from Africa, because why is it that like, what is it, 17% of the world's oil right now is coming from Nigeria? Nigerians are having that oil taken out, then it's being refined, it's being sold to y'all in LA or Chicago or wherever, and then it's being sold back to Nigeria at a price that they can't afford. Really, it should be Black people that are manufacturing that oil and then selling it to ourselves. And so I just think that I think a lot of the conversation of the FBA is of people who aren't coming to Africa. They're not trying to create relationships. And the thing is, I was raised Rasta, so I was raised Afro-Caribbean. I was born in Barbados. My family's Bajan and Jamaica. I went every single year on the March for Reparations from the British government for like 10 years. We put in letters, we put in petitions, we got lawyers, we did all this stuff. And then one day I was just like, yo, fuck this. Because really, I'm just begging for money from white folk. Even if I'm owed that money, there's white folk right now turning up in Chad, Central African Republic, with no money in their pockets and exporting bauxite, exporting aluminum, exporting gold, and, you know, making millions and billions over a few years, where we're trying to like scrape together some dignity and some organization to just get a few million, when you know that the economy of the black folk in North America is a multi.
So we just analyzed these two debates between Shaka Bars and Brother Chase. They're just talking about disagreements that might happen from the African Americans known here as FBA and non-FBA people in the diaspora. And I guess Shaka Bars is coming from the Caribbean, but he represents Pan-Africanism or black people as a whole. And I think Brother Chase does too as well. However, his primal focus is sorting out the issues that's happening on FBA, and he's concerned about people outside of African America community going into America and having disdain for people in America, the black African American FBA community.
$1 trillion economy. So it's like, I feel like that economy should be invested into.
So we're going to watch this for a few minutes, but after this, we're going to have a good exercise about how can Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help black people more. I've done some diagrams and some things which we can all join in. Should be very good and fantastic. Tell your friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to join in. We're going to see if we can rebrand Black Lives Matter as an exercise live on the show. Yeah. Anyway, carry on listening. Any questions, feel free to say in the forum. Yeah.
Developing infrastructure in Africa, which would then benefit you guys back in North America, because all the white folk that are running your country have businesses and are taking resources out of Africa. So if you're not involved in that supply chain, then you're always going to be underneath them, because it's like segregation at this point. It doesn't seem like it's about to happen or work. And I think this digital revolution that's happening, we all need to acknowledge that this digital revolution that's happening is causing a genocide in Congo. And, you know, my friends are talking about crypto and all of this stuff that sounds good. But the reality is that I know that if you was over in Congo with a mine, you wouldn't be killing people to get some minerals. You'd be paying them fair and getting the shit out and manufacturing. And so I'm saying all that to say is that I think it's the divisiveness that's being created, because it's easy to create, you know, polarity. There's some people that are really invested in fuck African immigrants, but it's kind of like the same rhetoric that comes from white racists. And there's some Africans that are really invested in they are better than black Americans. Like one of my friends is Jamaican, got with a Nigerian, and the Nigerian family was like, nah, I don't want a non-Nigerian in our bloodline, in our household. I don't want to diluted black. But I just think two men who are in a burning building shouldn't stop to argue.
Let me say this, brother. Number one, I respect you. I respect what you do over in Africa. Let's be clear. Like, number one, we're talking about the disrespect of black immigrants over here to foundational black Americans. There are not millions of foundational black Americans in other countries disrespecting the native population while simultaneously eating off the population.
Let's read some quotes. The whole tech industry, Shaka. Whose tech industry? Just because black Americans are able to gain from it by proxy doesn't mean that they are the ones making deals that plunder Africa. Very true. Very true. But I think Shaka, what he was saying is, I guess in reverse proxy, black people benefit from the plundering of Africa. So there's a unity between the two, having a concept where black people go over there and they won't in turn want to plunder and harm black people. They'll rather want to pay them. I think that's what he was saying, but only he can express himself better.
That's number one. We got a unique problem over here. Number two, when you come to Africa, give me an example. Give me an example of millions. Give me an example of millions, because there's millions of black immigrants over here. Give me an example of millions.
Okay. For those joining, what the debate is about is, what is there a lot of non-African Americans, Caribbean and African, who go to America and find themselves mistreating the African Americans, or disrespect, I should say.
So in
foundational black Americans.
In 2019, 1.2 million visas were issued to Ghana from North America, just North America. And when the people came over here, there was a lot that was peaceful and calm and cool, but there was definitely an air of, we're better than you, we need houseboys, we need drivers. Like these guys are ignorant, they're stupid, they can't read, and they were underpaying them. So it does actually go both ways, where there ends up being neo-colonialism with a brown and black face on it, just because the people coming here haven't been educated by Africans. They've been educated by white folk how to think about Africans.
But this the thing, brother. There are not visas, and you're saying America. That's not all foundational Black Americans. That's a multitude of people. You see what I'm saying? That's a multitude of people. There are what, 15?
So even though these two brothers are talking about the disagreements, what we're analyzing is, can brothers and sisters have a very strong disagreement or a difference of opinion and still be respectful? And so far, I would say they're doing a good job.
20,000 so-called foundational Black Americans living in Ghana.
I
think that's the last number I looked at. There's a million. There's over 1 million Haitians living here. There's over 1 million Jamaicans living here. There's damn near 1 million Nigerians at this point living here. The numbers are completely different. We can't compare a handful of Black Americans to millions of non-FBAs living over here, some which work to undermine us simultaneously. Number two, I think we have to talk about. Hold on. Number two,
millions are
it's millions of Black immigrants living over here in America. Is that true or untrue?
No, I get that. I said there's millions disrespecting you. That's what I was asking.
We could argue it's within the culture. It's a consistent presence of it. And many people are in high-ranking positions as well. Also, I think there is a lack of appreciation for what foundational Black Americans have done by themselves. You said the reason why we have a light bulb. The reason why we have a light bulb is because Louis Latimer, a foundational Black American, who created the filament for the light bulb.
I know that, but where do you get the minerals?
Right, but you said it came from the Congo and the Coltan.
No. I'm saying the minerals. I'm not saying.
All right, so we'll pause there for a minute. So I think we're half time, bit under half time. So what we're observing is just it's just constructive debates between two similar, I guess, similar kind of brothers and sisters. And the question is, how can Black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? So I've seen this debate. It gets a bit hot here, slightly here and there, but it's pretty much the same thing. We won't watch all of it unless you go, please, let's watch all of it. You've probably seen it yourself. I don't know. We can watch all of it if you want, but it's probably another 5 minutes or so. So we probably won't, or maybe 10. Who knows? It's hard to tell by the UI progression bar. I should really fix that to put a time here, but they didn't. But yeah, anyway. What we're gonna do? We might come back to it at the end. Who knows? I'm gonna try to. If no one jumps in at the end, I might end the show because I've got some stuff to do. But we'll keep it going. But we're not gonna go to part 2, but we can come back to part 1 when we need to. So let's. We'll come back to that. Thank you, my friend. Now we're gonna do the exercise, which everyone can join in. Where is it? That one. Oh, that one. There we go. So next question: can Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help Black people more? All right, let's see. And don't forget, tell a friend to join the show, because we're all going to work together to make things better. Work together, make things better. That sounds cool. Write that one down. Now, here we go. So, a lot of information there. I'm going to have to read it, aren't I? Why is it not refreshing? It's not, the screen's not. There we go. All right, so before we start, Black Lives Matter, let's break down what it is. It's a very popular hashtag. Well, let's read it anyway before I start explaining. So Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer. Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation Inc. So the company was set up after Trayvon, a young Black boy. How old was he? He was very young, but he was young and was murdered by I forgot the murderer's name. It's a very famous name, but my mind's late at night. I've been working hard, but anyway, he was acquitted, and people weren't best pleased as they shouldn't have been, and it spawned a movement. So basically, I remember it was in his neighborhood, of father's neighborhood, and he went to buy some sweets in the shop or something like this, and then a non-Black person saw him, and a white identified person saw him and followed him, and the police told him not to follow him. And unfortunately, he got in his face, and they had a rest of the match, and then he shot him, which was never good. So after that incident, they started Black Lives Matter according to the website, and the global organization is in the US, UK, and Canada, but it's spread more than that. But that must be where the primary stuff is, and that's where you have a lot of diaspora as well, where many people of different African and European and Asian descent are in a similar space. So you have this kind of stuff going on. Whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy. Very good word there. We always highlight that. And build a local power to turn in violence inflicted on the Black communities by the state and vigilantes. All right, good. By combating and countering acts of violence, creating spaces for Black imagination and innovation, and centering Black joy. Okay, we are winning intermediate improvements. In our lives, and there's a full stop there. So sorry, my mind's got. We are winning immediate improvements in our lives. Is that we are winning immediate improvements in our lives? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Sounds interesting. Okay, cool. So that was what's on the website. I pick up everyone who's live, and I remember when I looked there was something they took off, and I found it somewhere else. And we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other and extending families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. So I think there was a bit of a hoo-ha because I was talking about the nuclear family. Now, there is this thing like the nuclear family isn't really a Black thing, African thing, so maybe that correlates with that. But there's also, because the founders, or at least two of them, were part of the LGBT community, and they practice same gender love, and one of them was interracial same gender love, this kind of thing. I think people were concerned that maybe that was a motivation behind it, especially if they're using the starting premise of Black men being murdered, and then it goes into other kind of like family trans stuff. That was one of the challenges. And then it's like, what is this stuff? They also these other things here when they looked from the site where they had I copy and pasted it, so forgive me. We are expansive. We are a collective of liberators who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement and spacious movement. Also, where we believe that in order to win and bring as many people with us along the, I should wear my glasses, along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in Black communities. Okay. And we must ensure that we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. We affirm the lives of Black queer, Black trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, okay, folks with records, women, and all Black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within the Black liberation movement. We are working for a world where Black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. We affirm our humanity, our contributions to society, and resilience to the face of deadly oppression. We call for Black lives to matter. It's a rallying cry for all Black lives striving for liberation. Black Lives Matter has created official merchandise. Okay, that's I guess cool. So, we are expansive. Where was I? There was a word that I swear I said wrong. Inclusive and yeah, I can't, there we go. Yeah. So where was I? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So the idea was, this was on the website, sorry. And as time went by, there's a lot of people who were quite into like the B1 and the Black movement, this kind of stuff, might not be best pleased because obviously the organicness of the movement, it was funded by George Soros, and this kind of stuff that maybe people weren't best pleased with. Then, so this is like the Black Lives Matter stuff. And the question we asked is, can Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help Black people more? But obviously, in the Black Lives Matter, there was a certain degree where it became trans, gay, all lives matter. And the truth is, yes, all lives do matter, and mistreating people is never good. But there is a history of people using Black challenges to start a conversation that never ends with Black solutions. You see, and this is something that is historically true. And I think because we're not organized or very clear on what we're trying to achieve in so many things, when we read the website, just to highlight that certain things weren't really, there wasn't really there was an agenda, but yeah, the clarity and direction agenda we could put on the question, and we're going to use that in this exercise to really go through it. So, what I was thinking, and this is for the exercise of the people, is if who the first question is, who are we talking to? So the BLM was or is talking is black people talking to non-black people, right? That's what I kind of worked out. Should be a space there, but it doesn't matter. Cool. So it was black people talking to non-black people, right? That's what we worked out. So I'm thinking that if we rebrand it or a rebranding variant, I'm pushing forward that it's black people talking to black people. Oh, interesting. Very challenging, very new. Or can it work? Who knows? So that's the first thing I'm pushing for. So I start with that idea. And what's the next screen? Okay. So then I thought, okay, what if we took and we made it initialism? So I came with a concept, and hopefully you guys can join in and help refine, of if we take the lives and we use a form of initialism where we actually can break down what we want, but using the lives. You see, this is marketing now, isn't it? Peace and black power to Men Goddess and Brother IC3 and IC Chronicles as well. Ads Chronicles, sorry. Yeah, but yeah, so the idea is, as you see here on the screen, if you have a phone screen, if not, I'll explain it out. So we're breaking down the L, the I, the V, the E, the S into initialisms, right? So the L can be black love. Now, I haven't fully written down all the variable means of black love, but I started. Maybe next week I'll explain it more. So, constructive black man, constructive black woman, constructive black family, responsible loving interaction between black people, blah, 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 blah. And then the I could be institutions. It's very important that black institutions. So the idea is you can say black love matters. And then the next one, black institutions matters, if that makes sense, right? And the institutions, I'm currently writing that now as well. And that's breaking down education, politics, economic, but institution, education, that kind of stuff, black-owned institutions. Vitality is, I guess, is more so, I guess, kind of what the original one meant, as in not dying and being healthy, but also making sure we're not murdered and killed, but also eating healthy, looking after each other. So vitality, very important. So black vitality matters, and of course, black economics matter, very important. Trade and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, from a black Betterment standpoint, black synchronization matters. And that's the word we're trying to push and promote. Our constructive word to talk about people who are synchronized and unsynchronized, people who are working for Black Bear and people who are not. So we're going to push that in there. So if we were to have a Black Lives Matter 2 rebranding, so the Black Lives Matter 1 can still go, and whatever they're trying to promote, as in not killing black men and trans and this kind of stuff, you can continue doing that. But there'll be another variant that's called Black Lives Matter 2. And now with the 2, the 2 could be a double meaning, as in obviously the way it's pronounced. I think they call that something homophone or something. I think it's homophone. Could be wrong. There's a word where something has 2 meanings. It's late at night, so I kind of read straight or think straight. So forgiveness. But yeah. So the 2 could actually mean our lives matter too, because unfortunately, when people say Black Lives Matter, they have all lives matter, and then they go, no, it's also everyone's matter, but just ours matters as well. So you have a double meaning there. So 2 as in the second coming, and 2 as in we matter too. Blah 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 blah. Branding. Ideas. Right. So this is one idea we're thinking. Now we got a message probably about the talk. So Shakara, this is the lot. So I think the brother or the sister is speaking about the video, which we'll jump back to in a minute. So Shakara between 1977 and still okay. The whole of 938 billion was moved offshore, and now a single continent African profit. Maybe Tariq is talking about these continent African. Okay, we'll come back to that in a bit. We'll jump back on this. Cool. All right, where are we? So I thought, okay, here's the idea. Black Lives Matter 2 as a rebrand. Then obviously I jumped onto the Illustrator and I started mocking up what things could look like. So I mocked up this thing here. Okay, here's a little logo. You got the Black Lives Matter, big up. Got the Black Lives Matter. And you got the massive 2 because it's number 2. And then obviously just to break down what the dots mean. Maybe I could have made the dots color as well. I don't know. Just to break down what the dots mean. But this is obviously just the starting template of what we're doing. As a community, we're going to week to week refine, and make it fine. But just a concept idea. You got the Black Lives Matter too, and then it's written Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization. There you go. And let's go in there. It is on white. So this is the first draft. We might do more. I'm gonna have to review it, but you guys, your opinion matters and all that. But just a rough concept of what we're dealing with. I've got a message here. Okay. Whoopsie daisy. Cool. Sounds great. Oh, where's that? Yeah, cool. Excellent. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So that's there. Let us know what you think. Could by taking and rebranding Black Lives, and you actually give it purpose and focus. So now when you see Black Lives Matter 2, that is the rebranded one, you know that Black love is important. Constructive Black man, constructive Black woman, and then constructive Black family, constructive Black village, Black people having love for each other. Also the institutions, we want schools, radios, banks, whatever, you name it, right? That's Black owned and Black purposed. Oh yeah, Black control, Black ownership. Very nice. I also want Black vitality. I mean, we want Black people not to be killed, but we also concerned about health, making sure we're eating correct and training correct and we're healthy. Very important. Very, very important. Then Black economics, of course, making sure, we're trading well and we control our own economics. And last, but by no means least, Black synchronization, meaning we're all on the same page for Betterment. We're working together. We're all synchronized on this path. Fantastic. So yeah, that is the exercise of Black Betterment. Now, I was going to say what I should have done, really. Let me just play. I should have done it first, but shame on me twice. I'm going to play the Black Bird. It's only one minute, but this was an interview with what are your demands on the Black Lives Matter. This is what I'm saying. Where let's see what this lady is saying. That's it. The sister here. Hold on.
For having me.
When you look out,
Rewind.
Joining us tonight is Alicia Garza, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
When you look out here during the anniversary and across some of that impact that I just showed, how would you assess the impact of the movement? And speaking for yourself as one of the organizers, is part of the goal to shape electoral politics and what the candidates are saying?
Well, I think first and foremost, we just have to acknowledge that, if it wasn't for young people standing up in Ferguson as they're doing right now, this conversation would be very different. To be honest with you, Black Lives Matter, both as a network and I think as a growing movement across the world that is demanding the respect and dignity for Black people in this country. So
I already remember this is the one that the organizer, one of the three ladies. And she's saying it's demanding these particular things, and it's definitely talking to the non-Black dominant society.
That all people can live better lives is really at a turning point. And frankly, we are here to make sure that our communities continue to be safe. We are here to make sure that our communities have the things that we need. And we are here to make sure that anti-Black racism is eliminated once and for all.
Very good, very clear. Anti-Black racism eliminated.
And certainly, just a few months ago, you weren't hearing conversations about race in America. And in fact, we were being told that we lived in a post-racial society. And what has been exposed is that that's certainly not only not true, but that the lives of Black folks, both Black Americans and Black immigrants and Black people all over the country, have been unfairly targeted for demise. And that's what we're aiming to stop.
And looking at those candidates for president, then what should they say and do, in your view, to meet the demands and the concerns of this movement?
Well, certainly it's important that they acknowledge first and foremost whether or not they believe that Black Lives Matter. And we've seen all of the major candidates, at least on the Democratic Party side, saying as much. But the reality is we have to go a lot farther. We don't just want to hear a fancy slogan. We want to know, what will you do to ensure that Black Lives Matter? What are you willing to risk? What are you willing?
So once again, showing the movement was talking to authority to ask them the question, what are you going to do to show that Black Lives Matter
to implement, and what are you willing to change to ensure that no longer will we live in a country where every 28 hours a Black person is murdered by police, vigilantes, or security guards, according to the Malcolm.
Now, Black people are killed, but I think the movement will start because of the amount of Black men being killed, which is quite high. And but we understood that one of the challenges that the movement faced was maybe brushing over that fact and becoming very inclusive as it became Black people, Black trans, Black all this kind of stuff, right? So this was a challenge. Let's carry on listening. Big up Dominic Smith. He's talking about, didn't Candice always say there was a scam amongst it? Yeah. So one thing that I'm pushing forward here is one of the challenges we face when Black people try to do anything constructive or allegedly constructive is it becomes it's very easy for Black people to tear things down because we observe it every time. So I try to extract the best things from certain organizations and point directions on how they can improve. And this exercise that we're watching here is, I guess, part of that same process. So we're going to watch one more second of this, and then we're going to jump back to the conclusion.
The X grassroots movement.
And in your view, then, is it incumbent on those candidates and leaders to answer those questions, as you put it, or is this ultimately a model that will have explicit demands in the same way that groups like the NRA or AIPAC are scoring votes and making explicit demands? We saw some organizers.
So there particular demands, that particular things.
In certain states say one of the demands would be independent investigations of police brutality rather than having local DAs do it themselves. What is your view on those two approaches?
You know, I think what's important to be mindful of is that there have been demands for a long time now. And it's just now that folks are kind of turning their attention to asking, well, what are the policy solutions? What are the policy implementations that we're going to be leading here? And I think what we need to be mindful of is that both requires that candidates are proactive in thinking about what is it that they plan to move in the same way that they give us, you know, the package of issues that they're going to be working on when they take office. This issue needs to be one of them, and they need to be putting forward proactive proposals.
And what do you say to the,
time,
let me ask you, what do you say also to the criticism or concern that, you know, shutting down a candidate's event or disrupting a Bernie Sanders event is not politically effective?
Well, what I would say is that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. And so it's important that we push to ensure that our issues are at the forefront. And certainly, had we not been disrupting, had we not been pushing, had we not accepted business as usual, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
Mm-hmm. Alicia Garcia.
All right, cool. So we just watched it. So basically, very open to what was happening, and power to the sisters who tried to start the movement, or did start the movement, and the branding and it getting around. But what we're saying is, as the brother was mentioning, Dominic Smith in the group, that there might be some shortcomings and some challenges that wasn't, I guess, best pleasing towards Black people collectively, and there was a lot of grumbles. So we're saying, if we had to rebrand, what would we do? So we're saying here, if there was a Black Lives 2 movement, what would that look like? And here's a template now, or just an idea that we use initialism, and we break down the L, the I, the V, the E, the S, and we make it Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization, you see? And that way we know that this is Black people talking to Black people. So we want to talk to Black people and prove that our lives matter by focusing on ourselves and not necessarily talking to outside groups, fix our own issues. And then when we're in a more powerful economic position, then you can make more demands because we're more synchronized, we've got our heads screwed on, we have a more collective purpose. But I think what you tend to find with a lot of these movements is because they're so integrated with non-Black people, especially through lovemaking and lesbianism and homosexuality and miscegenation and work environments and all the things that makes Black people, be around other non-Black people in all areas of activity. But because of that, then sometimes there isn't really a focus. So I say with movement, there is a focus, and the focus is Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization. So when people say, do you support Black Lives Matter? I say, yes, the slogan is great. Black lives do matter. And I'm not too sure how far the philosophy goes. But what I do know, there's another philosophy called Black Lives Matter too. That's right. And I support 100% because it talks about black love, black institutions, black vitality, black economics, and black synchronization. That's right. So this is how branding works, family. So this might be a way of, like the brother was saying, isn't there some challenges or scams that some people allegedly push forward about some of the organizations? We go, oh, maybe. And we don't agree to that if that is true. But from a Black Lives Matter standpoint, I've always been a Black Lives Matter 2 person, you see. You see, I support big up Ultra. There you go. I like the Black Lives 2 hashtag. And they go, what's that? Well, the Black Lives 2 hashtag, it uses initialism and it breaks the lives into 5 points. And also, what's those 5 points, sir? Well, it's black love. Oh, what's that about? You know, constructive black man, constructive black woman, having a constructive black family. That sounds alien. What's that about? Yeah, actually, it's how societies have been found forever. Really? Yes, it is. Now you know. Well, so what's the other one? Well, black institutions. What's that? You know, black-owned institutions. It could be political. It could be economical. It could be cultural. It's just institutions that's dedicated to maintaining, sustaining black identity, black purpose, black economics, you name it, right? Black education, yeah. And we say, you know, having a black focus and black people doing that. So we want to bake that into our movement. Oh, gosh, that sounds very, very radical. Very cool. Yes, that's right. And then what about black vitality? Well, we don't want to die anymore because that's never good. So we want to stop the murder. So already in that kind of world, we've included the old original alleged Black Lives Movement concept of stop killing black people. That's not nice. But also, we're talking about being healthy. That's right, because we have many historical black nutritionians, Dr. Africa, Dr. Sebi, these kind of brothers and sisters, and the many who are still around today. And they say, you know, there's a certain way that black people should be in that might be better for us to live. Oh gosh, liberty and that good stuff. So black vitality is some, and also exercises. Unfortunately, some people say that in certain parts we might not be very healthy as we could do. So we bake that into our movement that we also want black vitality because black vitality matters. Boom, there you go. So this works on so many levels. And of course, black economics, we want to tackle the poorness that's in certain kind of black countries and control our own economics and, you know, not have Africans buying African goods from non-Africans and not having black people, you know, selling black goods, getting black goods from non-black people. And we want to go in the Caribbean store and it's run by Caribbeans. We want to, you know, have by African clothing, it's run by Africans and all that good stuff. Black economics. Yeah. Sounds great. And last but by no means least, what's the last one? Number S. Well, that's the most important one. Really? Oh, yes, sir. That's black synchronization. What does that mean? Well, it means black people being on the same page when it comes to betterment, you see. It means black people working in unison, in synchronization, to do something, a collective concept that we work together to do something that's collectively better for black people. Wow. So all that is Black Lives Matter too. Yes, that's what it is. So when you ask me, do I support Black Lives Matter? I support Black Lives Matter too. So, family, so those who are tuning in now, as a community, that's what we do in this show. We work together and we try to refine, define, and all the other Eins to come up with concept, ideas, and words that makes black betterment easier, you see. You know, and we can use words, language, hashtags, consistent behaviors, synchronization, all that good stuff we can do. But we do it here. And you guys, you're fantastic because you're part of that, you see. You know, when people say, where were you when things were happening? Well, I was there. And that's what we're doing this kind of show here. We're going to come together and do constructive things for black people. And let's bring up my brother. I don't just talk it, Rap Raven, Black Betterment Broadcast. I'm the living embodiment of the principles you are propagating. I'm Jamaican and my black African wife is from, actually, that's Tanzania, it looks like. Our babies are born of love. Good stuff there, you see. So the brother can say, I practice Black Lives Matter too. And because I practice Black love, you see. And I understand that black families are the heart of institutions and the heart of the concept of love. So we promote black love here because unfortunately, if you look at the statistics, you know, we have challenges. So, you know, we might have, when our brothers get very rich, they might be more likely to not marry a black woman or sister, you see. So obviously in our Black Lives Matter too, we address that because we talk about black love and black economics and black institutions. Let's break those three down. Black love, black man, constructive black man, constructive black woman. What about black institutions? We understand that our first institution is our family. That's right. If you didn't know, now you know. And also we understand that black economics plays a big part in families, you see, because your wife is your first partner. And if you die, hopefully, We don't want you to die, but if you die, your wife will take over your estate, and hopefully she's connected to Black Betterment, and she'll obviously help the children as well as the community with the intellectual progress that you start. But if you don't marry a Black woman, then there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. But also, again, people synchronize to Black Betterment is important. Voila, 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 voila. So this is what we're dealing with here. This is the rebranding of Black Lives Matter 2. This is a concept we come up with, and brothers can jump in. You can let us know what you feel. We're just going through the initialisms of how we can break down lives into something constructive, and we broke down love, institution, vitality, economics, and synchronization. Oh, mercy. I've done a little design there. Might change, might not. Who knows? Depends if I get time. Even now, I'm thinking of logging off to do something else because there's a lot of things that have to be done. But we shall stay for you guys. Feel free to click in the link that's now, it should be pinned. I don't know if it is, to jump in if you wish to discuss any of this stuff. But while you are doing that, just to quick recap, let's go back to the beginning. Oh, back to the beginning. There we go. What today's shows was about. Back to the where's the logo? There you go. So can Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help Black people more? And we just looked at exercise to see if we could. Number 2 is how can Black people disagree with each other politically in a constructive way? We will look at 2 brothers debate. We only saw half of it. I guess while we wait for people to jump in, if at all, we can listen to the rest. But before we go there, we also looked at a sister who had a fashion brand, and she was not best pleased because she was saying that someone was trying to steal her brand, and she was calling the Black community for her assistance help. So we're going to follow up on that, see if we can offer help to that sister. And there was one other video, but I won't show that one. I'll show that next one next week because there's too much things going on. But listen to the halfway through the other half of the Shaka and Brother Chase debate. We're observing to see how can Black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way. So observing to see if that's what they're doing here. Let's play.
I'm saying that there is a genocide happening, and the minerals that you are using right now to speak on this phone, and I am using to speak on this phone, people are dying for every day. Children are mining this stuff.
So what minerals came out the Congo that was used for Lewis Latimer to create the filament for the light bulb?
The copper.
The copper. So it was no copper over here?
Well, if you look at... If you look at the biggest copper exporter in the entire world, it's Tanzania and Zambia. So I don't know whether or not at the time the most of the copper was coming from there, but it is now, and it has been for the last 60 years.
Okay, but that Lewis Latimer did that more than 60 years ago. That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
So like I'm saying, like, there is, every time I feel like foundational Black Americans do something, if we're not kissing Africa's ass, or if we're not paying homage to Africa, it's y'all got that's us. That's us. And this is part of, I feel like, our problem we're dealing with.
So those just jumping, big up Tanzania. For those just jumping in now, there we go. Just to break down what this is, Brother Shaka Bars and Brother Chase debating over slight disagreements between people who were born from the slave trade within America, which are known as FBA and ADOS, and brothers who go there from the Caribbean and Africa who might not get along with those brothers and undermine their progress in certain kind of ways, and they're trying to debate over this kind of topic. So we're even though we're watching and we're just observing this, make sure they're constructive and what we can learn, and it's a case study, because we're asking that when brothers and sisters have disagreements, especially if you're B1 or you're Black First or you're Black Betterment and this kind of stuff, you definitely want to have a constructive discussion with other brothers and sisters, and you don't want to become a wrestling match live on a live stream. Never nice.
Every time it's something we do that's positive, give credit to Africa. When we do something that's negative, or something that's happening that's negative, y'all the reason why America's over here doing this. Y'all participated in this. Y'all are doing this. Y'all keep your treasures, and then you dump the trash on us. And that's I feel like one of the big problems over here that we've been constantly dealing with. When a Nigerian comes over here and does something great, he graduates from Harvard, he comes over here with an invention, he's a doctor, PhD, that credit goes to Nigeria and the Nigeria community. Nobody bashes it, nobody says nothing. The moment that Nigerian does something bad, he commits a rape or a murder, then that's that Black American culture. This was the whole point of us acknowledging our lineage, to say, hold on now, you want to take the credits and your treasures for your nationality, And then when it comes to the trash, that gets dumped on Black Americans.
What's the difference? Because you look like you're from Benin, you know, brother. I don't know if you've done your genealogy. I've traveled all across Africa. And the thing that confuses me is there's many people who are like, they're Cherokee, they're Chickasaw, they're Gullah, they're this or that. And I'm like, well, you don't really do any of the rituals. You don't learn the language, but like, you're saying I'm not African, I am this. But then even when you are that, it's like, you're not really, because you're not really in the culture. You kind of just like make
I don't think you have to be in the culture. There's a lot of people who we know over here, their parents are Ugandan. They don't practice no Ugandan traditions. They act just like Black Americans. I can argue Burna Boy acts like a Black American. I can argue Wizkid acts like a Black American. I can argue Davido, they dress, they act like us. There's people, Kodak Black, he's Haitian. Only time you see him throwing up a Haitian flag is, you know, every now and then, but he's mimicking us. He's acting like us. He's speaking like us. He's talking like us. So, I mean, I don't think that takes away from who you actually are. I don't think you have to practice. A lot of people don't practice their traditional religions, and they still are of that. Kodak's still Haitian. Burna.
So we're gonna pause. So, brother, sister Benedict Goddess, she said, "I'm not a tether." They don't. So yeah, these are certain words I'm hearing. So basically, there's a narrative coming that a person who's not born African American, Foundation of Black American, ADOS and Freedmen, this kind of stuff. If they're from outside of that and they coming and they do things that undermine Black progress, the term that's been circling around is tether. I think this comes from Tariq Nasheed and his podcast and this kind of stuff. What I would say is, whenever you get two different Black groups having disagreements, try to see what's at the heart of it. Try to understand where the pain point might be, and try to start there. So if brothers are saying that they feel, or sisters saying that people are coming to the land and they're not showing, or they're undermining progress, then have a conversation there, and then you yourself can delineate from that behavioral pattern and speak in a way that shows a unity amongst certain ideas and concepts. One thing I would do is, you never want to bring back pain with pain, because then it just adds more pain. So and listening is a very good thing. We have to acknowledge that the African American community have done a lot of things in the world, and have been at the leading front. I mean, I look at African Americans, Jamaicans, some other Caribbeans, historically that is, who were leading charge in the Pan-African movements and teaching, Africanity to everyone and that kind of stuff. And today it's still the same. And when I was going to Speakers Corners, you'll find that, from this, a lot of the Caribbean will be pushing it to a certain degree more than certain Africans, but in certain parts, the Africans are doing the same. Depends on where you're at. But once again, it is one of the secrets I always say is, you have to focus on synchronize, you see, because in every land, tribe, creed, and the rest of it, there's going to be those who are synchronized and those who are not. And sometimes we let the unsynchronized dictate the flavor of a particular nation. And it's always best to get the best of the nation from those who are most informed and those who are synchronized. However, if there is a high amount of optical visual of a particular group doing a particular behavior pattern, then this needs to be addressed. And if it is addressed, we can do it respectfully. So remember, whenever we watch these things, we must do it respectfully, and we mustn't really take things to heart if we can. The main point is xenophobia, Raven. How do you unify that? Yes. So, and this is the challenge we have to face, that, and we're going to face it, and I face it myself, and I'm going to face it, where you come up with an idea for a particular reason, and millions of thousands of people jump into that idea. And in the name of the idea, you have people who themselves have hatred, unsynchronized behavioral patterns, and they use that idea to further their own particular idea. So, for example, if you have African Americans who are not best pleased by Africans who come over there, or Caribbeans who come over there, who mistreat them and call them certain names, if there is Africans who come over and if there are African Americans who have always hated say Caribbeans or whatever, right? Then they're gonna latch onto that idea and they're never gonna bring it in a unity mode. They're gonna bring it in a divisive mode. You see, most of the people who are come up with these terms, from what I've seen, they generally have and do practice universal Black betterment or Black love and stuff, right? and a lot of this stuff is coming from a genuine defense. And even though there's one or two joke moments and harsh words here and there, I generally see that. And hopefully, we're looking at this kind of debate to extract that as well. But what you find is amongst the group, you might have the unsynchronized who do things in the name of those ideas, and that seems to what circulate in the interweb. You see, so this is what we're doing. We're analyzing these talks and seeing how can we benefit. And sometimes how we can benefit is to listen to a complaint. You see, and I think that's what we're having. We're going to listen more to this. We're a bit over half time, and we're asking the question. Oh, where's the question there? Hold on. The question is, how can black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? And we're listening to Brother Shaka Bars and Brother Chase do that in a recent reasoning about diaspora wars, apparently. I think they'll probably use that name more for promotion rather than actual thing, but there you go.
Boy, still, I don't know exactly where he's from, but he's African.
He's from Nigeria.
He's from Nigeria, okay. But,
I mean,
if I saw Burna Boy, the way he dressed, the way he acts, the way he does his stage performance, I would say he's a black American until he opens up his mouth. So, I mean, we don't take that away from them.
I mean, kind of not, because have you been to Nigeria before? They might have been doing that since. Because remember, we was all colonized by white people, whether it was white British or white Americans. So when we're wearing suits or when we're wearing their shoes, unless it's something that we've specifically designed and created and that is completely a part of our culture. Like, we didn't invent Nike. We made it cool, but we didn't invent it, right? So if Burna Boy is wearing Nike and if, I don't know, Kyrie is wearing Nike, that's still two black folk wearing white stuff, making it black because we're wearing it. Like, not everybody's Ye and is making up their own stuff. And so I think do you know what it is? Most people who come to Africa, they then have a different perspective. Like, for instance, I've read many books written by African Americans. A lot of FBAs don't read books written by African authors. That's just one disconnect that I see that's often, because it's like they don't seek validation in anything African, because they're like, well, we're American, so we don't have anything to do with them over there. But it's like, in this current time, where I'm telling you for a fact, 70% of the world's coltan and 80% of the world's cobalt is coming from Congo, which means that you can have cars and means that you can have phones. We are essentially there's nobody self-made. Everybody is interdependent. Everybody is reliant on other countries to be able to exist in this current context. So it's like, why would we that look similar to each other? We all listen to similar music. We all listen to the drum. We season our food. We have Afro hair. Why would we not work with each other to make
Because I think the mindset is different, brother. I don't think there is this big wave of people trying to work with us. I think people are trying to benefit off of us, but I don't think it's this wave of actually trying to work with us. Like, we always talk about the resources of Africa. We talk about, you say, light bulbs, X, Y, and Z. Then why isn't that all over Africa? Why is most of Africa without electricity?
Okay, there's a link in the group. So if you should jump in and critique and have a say, feel free. It should be pinned. We're just analyzing these two brothers' debate and the reason. And we're asking the question, how can black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? So far, they're doing okay. I think there's one or two hiccups here and there, but they're doing pretty cool.
We look at
because of colonialism. Because colonialism was as bad as slavery. It's just
right. But my problem with that is, brother, not to cut you off, but y'all don't give us that same excuse. When it comes to us, y'all say we participated just with the white folks in colonizing y'all. Y'all don't allow us to say colonization or the CIA, because this is some things we look at as black Americans. Y'all talk about us. Y'all say we in the most powerful country in the world. We got $1 trillion spending economy. We look at y'all and say, damn, y'all are 95% of the population in Nigeria. Why ain't you controlling Nigeria? The resources are underneath your feet. Why aren't you controlling that? Don't come tell me about colonization and the white man, because you don't allow me to do that.
No, but I do, because American imperialism. COINTELPRO was literally created to stop African Americans or black Americans communicating and building trade relationships with black Africans. So white folks saw the danger in that. And then we're like, yeah, we ain't trying to work with you. But your government, of which most black people in North America are paying their tax dollars to, 1/3 of that is in defense. That then goes to the American military industrial complex, which then comes and colonizes Africa, right? So that colonization that you're involved in or tacit complicit in is, in the 60s and the 70s, Africans was like, we need to get white folk out of Africa. And for the last 50 years, just like what happened with Haiti, Africa's been crippled because of it. Because imagine, I know that the violence is bad in Chicago. I know that the violence is bad in Atlanta sometimes. But there's levels to violence. Like, I've been in Congo and seen 15 people just get murdered in front of me like that. And why is that happening? That's happening because minerals are up the road. And then white folk in North America are like, we need those minerals. Let's give the Rwandans some money. We'll make it look like a civil war. The Rwandans will come in. They'll kill everybody in that area. And then a white foreign multinational American company will come in and start mining that, sending it back to North America. I think the only thing that's different between us is a passport and who we were colonized by. I don't think that our struggles are different, so much so that it's too difficult to work together. Because I was speaking to Tariq about this. FBA is a very new thing, right? FBA, ADOS, even if it has been 10, 15 generations of y'all being there, it's still a new phenomenon, like a new psychological process for people to be able to understand. So when you're saying, I heard you saying to the brother earlier, we're tired of educating y'all, we're trying to get stuff done. Well, it's still a very new thing. And I think that when I bring Tariq to Ghana and we do business together, because that's the other thing, is like, if we ain't getting money together, we can argue all day. If we're getting money together, we have to argue differently, because it's going to be debate, because we all want the train to go in the same direction. And I just feel like we're missing a trick where, the only reason why, not the only reason, but a major part of the reason why Black Americans are successful is because at the same time as being abused by white racism and white systems and structures, you also benefit from white racism and white systems and structures. You do, because how are you able to get a $1 trillion economy, which is the biggest Black economy that's ever existed?
This might be a point they disagree on. Let's see how they handle it.
How are you able to get that without white imperialist systems powering and driving that? Because Blacks in other countries don't have that, because they ain't got the same amount of leverage, because they ain't got the same amount of access to capital, because they ain't got the world's biggest military colonizing the resource.
Okay, let me interject, brother. You don't have that because you ain't trying to. The resources are underneath your feet. Right. The white man has to literally come and say, hey, Mbuke, step aside real quick. Let me get these diamonds from underneath your feet. I'm frustrated when I hear that from non-Black Americans. Hold on, brother, let me build. I'll let you build, though, brother. I'll let you build. I'll let you build, brother. Let me build.
No, but listen, I've been seeing
I'll let you build, though, brother. Let me build.
There's no step aside. It's we're killing.
No. Because I was hosting a live and I allowed you to come on, brother. Let me build. I didn't jump on your live. I allowed you to come on my live. Let me build. What I'm saying is the greatest resource America has ever used ain't the coltan from the Congo. It ain't the diamonds from the Congo. It ain't gold from Africa. It's us. Our free labor built America. When you say, why is America this? It's because of that free labor. We were the greatest resource. We are still the greatest resource. Gold and coltan by itself don't do shit. It don't build shit. Somebody has to put it together. We were the minds putting it together. Gold by itself is just gold. It don't build buildings. It don't pave roads. It don't build cities and X, Y, and Z. We were the ones doing that. When y'all say that somehow everything that America has done and everything America has built came from the resources of Africa, we are that resource. We're the greatest resource. Always have been in this country. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
And for instance, the reason why North America is a nuclear superpower right now is because uranium and plutonium comes from Congo. There's a book that you can read called Spies in the Congo. North America wouldn't be a superpower and wouldn't be able to defend its resources and be getting bombed like all the other countries that are getting bombed right now and attacked without these resources that are coming from Africa. Do you agree or disagree that you need to have nuclear weapons to be a superpower?
Yes.
Right.
I do.
So I'm saying that there's not a single in Africa, in the whole of Africa, there's not a single nuclear weapon, but the minerals come from here. And when you were saying like that step aside thing, I've literally seen people be murdered in front of my eyes. It's not step aside, it's we're murdering everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's people who are invading, murdering everybody so that they can then take this stuff out. And I'm just saying that you guys should be in Africa, mining should be in Africa, because you're already getting benefits of the resources. So rather than, cut out the middleman, cut out the white man, cut out the Chinaman, and come and build with the people direct, and then there wouldn't be all of these human rights violations and all of this black murder. Because I know FBAs ain't into black murder of Africans, because I ain't seen anybody calling for that type of rhetoric. But white people are just like, yeah, these Africans are supposed to be dying. Listen, I've got to jump off.
That's the end of the thing there. So we'll analyze and see how can black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way. A big up to the brother Shaka Bars and brother Chase there. They're very intense at times, or slightly intense maybe, but they found their way. I wanted to, was most part respectful. And I guess, what that's what you're asking, because there is a philosophy out there where it's saying, black people shouldn't really talk publicly in shows and stuff because of the history of disagreements and I think Neely Fuller says the poison that we might have in our head and natural disdain for each other through learned behavior and stuff. So you have to really be aware that when you're communicating publicly that this might be there, and you want to definitely have that in the back of your mind when you're debating to make sure you don't contribute to the challenge. So with these two brothers, they've got similar and different ideas, but ultimately they want the same goal, just in different ways. But yeah. So welcome, brother Kel, to the show.
Betterment, brother Raven.
Black Bearman. So welcome. So as brother Kel joins, the links are in there, fam. So if anyone wants you to join, feel free to jump in. Today's show, let me quick back onto the was two main questions. Can the Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help black people more? And how can black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? We just into like a 10 or 15, I don't know how long between the two brothers there, and we're analyzing it as a case study. And we also start with a bit of a quick news that came because I don't want to say she's French. She might not be French based. I'm not too sure, but the sister here, her brand was known as Grassfields, it looks like, and she's come recently complaining that someone is taking her brand, and she's asking the black community for help. So we're going to try to reach out to her, see if she's okay, if we can help in any way. But let's have it's a 3-minute video for those who are joining now, and then we'll go back to the Black Lives Matter rebranding.
If you're a black person right now, please listen. I need your help, please. It's been 5 days now. I've not been able to sleep. I can't sleep. And what is the most painful thing is that my sister and I, who founded Grassfields, have been taken away from, our company has been taken away from us. And during all this process, these 5 days, they have just been ignoring us. They have sent us letters, legal documents, trying to silence us in not talking. And they keep posting on our Instagram page. I'm talking about the investors that we went into business with. Like nothing has happened. They hijacked our emails, our company emails, even my personal email. They went into my personal email, my Instagram. And they have done so many unlawful things during this whole process. And I'm saying that if they have the audacity to do this, they've done it before. But I'm going to fight for my business. The same way I fought for the last 3 years to make sure that Grassfield remained alive even though my sister was sick. Today, I'm going to fight for Grassfields. I'm going to make sure that they pay for what they have done to us. Please help me.
Okay, oh, there you go. So that was the sister there from the Grassfields. Unfortunately, I think someone else has taken over the company account. So if you talk to that, then you probably won't be talking to her. And I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I might be, but I think she was a duo with her sister who might have passed away. But I could be wrong. But yes, yeah, so we started the news on that, and we'll follow up next week to see how that's going. But also, the second part was, no, the first was how can Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help Black people more. So we started showing that the Black Lives Matter originally, for those who are joining now, was found in 2013, and it seemed to be more so Black people talking to non-Black people about not mistreating Black people, but it was very vague in certain areas, and because of the vagueness, allowed it to become a Black gay, Black all lives, and Black trans, which we definitely don't want any person to be mistreated. But there is a history of Black people dying or suffering, and other groups or subgroups jump in, and then it becomes Black, and then Black gay, and then trans, and then all, and then this kind of stuff. And this is something that happens a lot. So one of the things that we're saying is how can we rebrand this so we can minimize that? But also, there's been some challenges with mismanagement allegedly, and some people might try to tarnish Black Lives Matter. And we're not saying that it has or hasn't happened, but we're aware of certain claims. So the first thing I was saying is, if we were to rebrand Black Lives Matter, we say that Black Lives Matter is Black people talking to non-Black people. The rebranding is Black people talking to who? Black people. That's right. So the rebranding I'm recommending is Black people talking to Black people. Okay. So what is it we were pushing forward? If we could actually use the Black Lives letters themselves, the lives, and break it down as in the L is love, the I is institution, the V is vitality, the E is economics, and the S, last but not least, is synchronization, then we can actually have Black Lives Matter being very direct, as in Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization matters. And we put 2 there. And the 2 also works as a double meaning, because sometimes with Black Lives Matter in the past, they'll say Black Lives Matter. And then people go, oh, but White Lives Matter, or Asian, or whatever it might be, Lives Matter. And they go, no, it's both. It's just saying that because our life doesn't matter, we're focused on us. But with the word 2, that's now a double meaning. It's 2 as in us 2, meaning Black Lives Matter 2. Double meaning. All that way, right? Blah, 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 blah. Branding, marketing. Yeah. So then I knocked up a quick branded idea, and I broke it down here. Black Lives Matter 2, big massive 2 there. You see, it's part 2, and then the 2 lines I've now got was imprinted them, which is Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization. So now, as you know, they're going to try to undermine the original Black Lives Matter because of the so-called scams. You can always say, well, I support Black Lives Matter as a concept. I don't know, all the other stuff that was going on, I'm not too sure of it because, I wasn't there. But what I can say is we support that. However, when it comes to ideas, I'm definitely Black Lives Matter 2, which is Black love, Black institutions, Black vitality, Black economics, and Black synchronization, you see. And we are talking to Black people this time. We're talking about how can we get our acts together to get what we need. And when we're in a more powerful position, we can then start making bigger demands, because then we'll have more of a base to leap from, you see. So that was the idea of Black Lives Matter 2 rebranding exercise. Feel free to jump in and let us know what your feeling is, if there's any legs there for rebranding campaign. But that's where we got to in the first hour of the show. And we welcome Brother Kel on to the show. A very good contributor, a very consistent contributor. Thank you for joining us, Brother Kel.
Black Betterment, brother. I believe that we have to try and train our brain whenever we are debating in public or wherever we are, to make the brain release dopamine of having a synchronized Black Betterment agenda in any conversation. That means removing personal ego or any form of insecurities that may distract you from having a synchronized Black Betterment agenda whenever we are dialoguing with one another. The second thing, we need to train our people to be arbiters as well. You know, like some form of whenever we're debating with one another or around non-African people, there needs to be like a referee that can show a mirror of this is what has happened to us historically and present, and maybe in the future, that this is the image that you're going to be having, looking like, and the mannerism. And then they should show another mirror image of this is how we need to be, which is going to protect you from the other mirror image, that is going to basically make you unsynchronized. And having the ability to show the mirrors and explaining to our people that the best of mirrors images is synchronized will be the best strategy, because whenever you show a mirror to a human being, you have to kind of train them to accept the image. Going personal with them will make them dislike the image more, to want to change. So you have to kind of show them, you have to reassure the image, and at the same time be a great arbiter while dialoguing.
Thank you very much there, brother. Brothers, and there's a link in the forum pinned to the top. If you wish to join in the discussion about how can Black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way, as well as can the Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help Black people more, just feel free to jump in. We're going to chop it for a bit, and then we're going to end the show if we don't get any others on there. But so far, we've had a good thing. Brother Cal has come and given us concepts and ideas about having people stand off, referee, I guess, people who can, help direct and keep people synchronized in ideas of Black Betterment, how to always bring that home. And that's something we want to be doing here a lot. It's like, Jada is to teach our people how to interact with other brothers and sisters who are great potentials for them to be more focused and synchronized on ideas of self-preservation, betterment, building up our own communities, looking out for one another. We use this show as a platform to build those ideas, those words, that network, so we can do that. This is the place you come, and hopefully people will come on this platform and then go and create other platforms where Black people can go and be constructive and find solutions to Black challenges. There you go. So did you see the full debate between? I might just play the I think it's Brother Chase and Brother Shaka Rock, not Shaka Rock, sorry, Brother Shaka.
I did, yeah, I did, and there was some discipline there, but at the same time, as I said in the last dialogue, nothing should emanate anything personal what has been said by the person that you're debating with, whether it's a non-African or an African descendant, because you have to get the message out. So it's like understanding psychological strategies. Arrogant and prideful, unfortunately, historically, has been the downfall of our people and in human beings in general. Having the mindset of I will outdo a person without thinking about the collective, you're definitely going to destroy the collective psychologically. Yes. So having, as I said, whenever you're dialoguing with our people, always focus, my agenda is a synchronized Black Betterment agenda. Whatever personal they say about me, anything they're going to say, it must not interfere with the synchronized Black Betterment message for our people. It may be degrading what they may say about you. It may make you want to get angry, but controlling, being very stoic, and understanding that it's not about you, it's about the collective. You see, a lot of the time, because individualism creeps in us, because nobody wants to feel bad when they're debating, like the brothers. I noticed that when the other brother was saying that there's resources under the ground, the other brother automatically became erratic and hysterical and lashed out and wouldn't give him a chance to speak. And it happens all the time. We all do this. But it's very important that sometimes you have to enter the spirit, adapt to the moods, the whims of a person, right? And not making them react to things that may get your agenda out the way, but then finding strategies to synchronize them as well as those around is very important. I know it's very hard because nobody wants to be character assassinated. Nobody wants these things, but the agenda is not you, it's the collective. And especially when we're debating with our women, which you and I know, bro, is a big problem, because our women, I said this before, women as a whole, they also have their political science, and they should have their political science because they've been mistreated by men historically. So they will use political science to they will to destabilize you in order for them to overthrow you because of certain rhetorics and certain mindsets. Will lead for them to think that this type of ideas and mindset is the reason why we were subjugated as women. So you have to understand how to communicate, and everything's political. We all know this, even down to food products is political. So outdoing your adversary or outdoing your equal ain't gonna work. So you need to have a very relaxed, calm demeanor about you, that I'm not here to win, I'm here to bring the best out in the community with these strategies. That's the only way it's going to work out whenever you're dialoguing, whether it's people or not.
Yeah, very good point. And there's certain strategies people can have. So, for example, sometimes you might be debating, and sometimes, unfortunately, you might be in a certain place where you're getting attention, and there might be some black people who naturally become competitive, and rather than what you're saying, it's the fact that you're getting the attention, and that might trigger them. You see, and then they might then lash out and stuff. And what Brother Carl is saying is very correct. How I try to deal with it is I say things like, "Well, look, I'm like I said, I'm here for black people collectively, so I don't mind being wrong or right as long as black people learn from it. As long as I'm corrected in my wrongness and my rightness, we build upon it. And I want to put black people first in this conversation. So whenever that person might go, "Oh yeah, but I don't trust you. Like, look at you. I don't know where you've been, and look at your hairstyle, this kind of stuff," right? You can say, "Well, maybe I might not be the best dressed, whatever it is, but I'm willing to work with other black people to be constructive. Are you willing to do the same?" So you can always ask that kind of question. So you can be around other brothers and sisters and go, "Well, the thing is, brother, sister, I'm here for us to move forward as a collective. Do you think that's a good idea?" You wait for the response and they go, "Okay, well, do you think we can work together on this concept? Is it possible for us to put the needs of the many before our own particular needs?" Right? And you're always trying to like the brother Kel was saying, you're reminding that this is not about me and you, about egos. It's about the collective betterment, and we have to let these past disagreements go. And sometimes people are connected. So I assume with the video we're watching, I think the brother expressed that he's been in the country and he's Congo and he's seen people being killed for resources. So when the brother says, "Why are you digging for resources?" it might trigger it. I don't know. Only he can explain himself or whatever. And I think that was one of the few times where the brother became a bit on edge and wanted to really jump in and give his opinion. But it might look like he's interrupting or whatever. But either way, still the brothers did both show some discipline. We look forward and we always want to promote constructive dialogue. And then whenever we establish a disagreement, we want to bring it to the table and have an open discussion in a constructive way. they were talking about a disgrace between people in the diaspora, i.e., Africans and Caribbeans, and how they interact with people in African American communities in America. And there's been some, one or two disagreements and stuff, and words thrown about. And also, there's thousands of people on the internet who behave in a way that's very unsynchronized from both ends, right? And and like I said, whenever you have a person who might not, for whatever reason, like a particular group, they will join any group that they feel is undermining that group, and they will add their many years of extras that they've been saving up to give to that group. And sometimes that then becomes the face of a collective, but it really shouldn't be. Most of these, you can always tell in the cyberspace world. This is like you learn in Speaker's Corner and in America and Canada and UK. Whenever a new narrative, and this show is part of this show is to create new narratives to make things easier. But you can tell when brothers and sisters are talking where the lineage of their language comes from, because certain key speakers use certain frames and tools and ideas to get points across, and then it's very influential among other speakers, and you can pin the people. Okay, so if you're using this word, this comes from this, so we can address this. So, for example, if you're going to talk about the FBA, you're talking about Tariq Nasheed's kind of stuff. And the brother has done a lot of good DVD works and very constructive stuff. He is very a comical, controversial, kind of combative personality, which he has a right to be. He's in the social world doing his own thing. But I think if you have to, when I've seen him in England and when I've seen his stuff here, whatever, and around the world, yeah, he tends to be a person who is about world black unity and speaking about anti-black racism. I generally do believe that anything he's talking about, he's genuinely sincere when he says he's observed many non-African American based people with harsh things to say about African Americans. Now, the extent number of it is one thing, but rather than us be defensive, let's try to unpack that and find solutions so the optics of that doesn't repeat. You see, and this is you have to play psychological dominoes. You have to try to go to the root of the first one that fell rather than be affected by the one that comes after you straight. And because at the end of the day, global black collective betterment is what I suspect all of us want, and there is a way we can achieve that as a collective.
Well, the thing is, Brother Raven, it's kind of the Africans on the continent and the Africans in the diaspora, they need to use the technique of a treaty, right? Mm. Whenever you go into a new area, right, naturally you moved in, you go and visit the neighbors and you tell the neighbors, oh, I'm such and such, I'm new in this area, I want to make this area great. If you need anything, then my door is there, and I'm there to fulfill the needs for the neighborhood. Now, these things work because you want the neighbor to be protected. You want to make sure each other's kids are looked after. You want to make sure there's less crime in the area. Now, if we were to do that and have this type of agenda by showing the mirror of the image of there are non-African people, unfortunately, that are playing us off each other. So what we want to do is that I'm new to the area and I want to make this area great. So I want to prevent non-African people exploiting your area, right? So here's the thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, I've got a lot of money, right, from the continent. So I'm going to invest and I'm going to buy some shops. I'm going to buy this and buy that. I'm going to create jobs and opportunity. And the reason I'm doing this for is because of your amazing work of making it prosperous for us on the continent to be able to come over here, even though non-African people are playing us against each other. We want to prevent them coming into the area. And then by doing that, the leftovers of the money, when we've looked after the community, I'm going to put that on the African continent. Now, if this was to be done in every particular situation, Brother Raven, right, you'll find it very difficult for non-African people to play us off each other. Call it nationalism codification. This is the one thing that we're missing. If we'll only have a nationalistic mindset of these principles of we're doing this to prevent others subjugating us, right? and then you show the mirror image of this is the look what we're going to have if we sell to our people with the correct way of preventing non-African people exploiting us. We're going to have a good image. And then if we don't do this, then you show the second image of this is what we're going to look like, which we are looking like now. If we have this treaty, right, and it works, brother, because I remember in my life when we've gone into different areas, you know, we've had treaties, you know, certain gang members understood, oh, you know, you're related to this, you know, particular family. So they understood that if we go there, I'm going to have to face this and face that. And then the other groups who wanted to infiltrate, they understood. So this is the core thing that we have to sell, as what Garvey said, sell back to our people, being black and caring for black. The treaty must be sold, Brother Raven, in that way, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. And I think that concept there of showing a challenge that is currently here and then showing a future what could be achieved could be a very good optical strategy of how to connect with someone, as in the intention is like, and I think that's what in that particular debate the complaint was, where people come to a new land and they weren't checking in or networking with, so it was perceived, the brothers and sisters there. So naturally, they could be easily divided. I'm well aware when I looked at my research that there are many Africans and Caribbeans who are told by non-black people not to unify with African Americans. And I think Brother Shaka in the video said something very important, that, you know, one of the primary purposes of COINTELPRO was to stop any African American successfully networking with a African outside of America, right? And that was the goal, and they're quite successful goal for most part. And I suspect that would have been a reverse as well, as in they're going to try to stop it from within here, but they're also going to go to the continent and obviously push some kind of propaganda, some kind of method to make sure that those two communities don't ever network on a constructive way. And obviously, Brother Shaka was saying some stuff about, you know, well, if Americans are coming here and mining stuff and building stuff, wouldn't it be better if it's a black person who loves black people rather than a non-black person who doesn't mind harming black people and using black people? You know, and this kind of stuff. So that was the two arguments, the ideas that pushed forward.
Yeah. Also, brother, you know, you've got the can the Black Lives Matter rebranded.
Yes.
What I've noticed that in history, that whenever a label's been used and it's not successful, it always needs to have like another label on there to make the massive realize that this is a different type of organization, and you know, this is what we're going to get. And I do believe it should be called, you know, the synchronizing Black Lives. And the reason why that is because whenever you hear Black Lives Matter, you're going to think of that particular individual who's funding it. Because we as a people, we've researched, we understand, and we've understood that it was no longer a black agenda. It was more multicultural. So if we can kind of use a different label and just adding another name on there, right? The synchronizing Black Lives Matter movement.
I'm writing this down. So, so basically, what we've done so far, we're in stage one of the rebranding, and the first idea we come up with was Black Lives Matter 2, and having the LIVNE stand for particular things: love, institution, vitality, economics, and black circulation. Brother Carl says another idea that might work is if we make prominence to synchronization, as in he fears that because of the alleged mismanagement from one of the funders and some other stuff, that it might be associated and they might be used to tarnish. And yeah, I'm all for that as well. One of the goals of here is whenever a question comes about what's your views on Black Lives Matter, there is a response by saying, well, I like the slogan and the hashtag. I'm not too sure about how it was managed or not. But what I do know is I heard there's a sequel called Black Lives Matter 2 that focuses on black love, black institutions, black vitality, and black economics, as well as black synchronization, you see, as the screen showing here. And because of the first Black Lives never really focused on that, it focused more on talking to non-black people about not mistreating black people, as well as some other kind of universal love concepts and these kind of ideas. That this is more focused. But Brother Carl is coming for another idea as well, or an extension idea, where could the synchronization and black and lives, like synchronized black lives, maybe remove the matter? Who knows? And that's something, yeah, I'll write this down. I'll see if I can go back to the lab on that. What I've noticed, though, is a lot of people have taken the matter and the black and they've replaced, so they'll do things like black intelligence matters or black networking matters, something I haven't written down. But the idea of this concept here was by taking the lives as it was there and you put dots between it. And you break down that the LIVES stands for very important things. That's at the heart of the sequel. The sequel, you see. And that's where this concept idea came from. As in, so that way we know that, well, when we're talking about Black Lives Matter 2, Black Lives Matter 1 might be talking about trans and not killing black people and unnuclear family, whatever it was saying in the website. However, we know that the sequel to that is black love, black institutions, black vitality, black economics, and black synchronization. And that's what we can definitely put behind because it's in the title. It's saying that these matter too. And all those things are black on black. So it's a black on black campaign. So maybe the first campaign hashtag was black people talking to non-black people. However, the part 2 is black people talking to black people about these very, very important points. But yeah, I've written that down, Brother Kel. Good idea, as usual. Can we have a title that has synchronized and black in it, and maybe not matter because but I'll put it down and see if we can chop something up. And anyone in the family, any ideas you have, you let us know. We always take people's constructive ideas and try to put it in a document and put it in a visual exercise or a case study, so we can look it down and have a back and forth and progress on ideas. You know, we work as a team here. We come together and we try to find solutions for black people. And all black people are welcome. Constructive black people, I should say. Welcome. So feel free to jump on board. We are going to end very soon. I have some stuff I have to jump on. I haven't really said too much. But we have a very important guest tonight. We have Brother Kel here doing wonderful work. And recap of today's topic. So that was, can the Black Lives Matter brand be rebranded to help black people more? Brother Kel's just come with a great idea. I've showed you one idea of is it called initiate? What they call the word? I never get it wrong. It's called initialism. Initialism. I should write. So use initialism as well as number 2, sequelism, whatever. And then we asked another, can black people disagree with each other publicly in a constructive way? So we want to be working on. Make sure we're not. I think I would say Neely Fuller and Frances Wilson is never best pleased when black people go collectively on any kind of non-black institution, community promotion or whatever, and we start disagreeing publicly and start fighting. It's never a good look. So they try to have strategies to minimize that. One of them was just don't go there. But also have in the back of your mind that you don't want to go and start arguing, and this kind of stuff publicly. And then we also show the sister, unfortunately, who was very somewhat quite popular. I would say, become very popular. And she was hit by an unfortunate event where they took away her brain,
Right now.
and she's asking help. So we're going to follow up on that and get back to you next week, hopefully. There was one more video I was going to show, and it was about a child dancing in a car, repeating profanity from a song. And, I won't play it now, but we were just saying that also in the music and stuff we make and play around each other, especially around kids. If we realize that kids are repeating this stuff, then best we play constructive things, videos, audios, radios of constructive black Betterment. I was listening to I think Sizzler. I want to say Sizzler the other day, and he made a song where it's very clear he's talking about the black woman and how he loves her so much, and he made sure he described her black features and this kind of stuff, the black hair, the black eyes, and all that kind of stuff. And he said African woman and black woman, this kind of thing. So I definitely promote that consciousness. I was also doing some research about the Dominica, not the big Dominica, the small Dominica, where a lot of my family's from, and about Operation Red Dog, I think it's called. Or is it Operation Red Dog? I should know this off head, but once again, let me get that right. We might cover it next week. Might not. Operation Red. I'm gonna say dog. I bet I'm wrong. Actually, I was right. Photographic memory. So, yeah, so this Operation Red Dog. Take some research yourself. It's about where the KKK tried to take over Dominica, and they wanted to make it into a haven for racism as well as like gambling. And they went there to take over, and they got stopped, and they grabbed guns. But there was also some issue with the Rastafarian community and the government there. And there was something going on where the Rastafarians were being killed. I think historically Rastas has always been mistreated, but like I said, when you look historically, Rastas were always right in many instances, if not all, about Africanism, black vitality, and being healthy and looking after yourself and love and all that stuff. But as usual, many of the political structures wouldn't really respect that. So at one point we might tackle that a few weeks. Maybe we might look at some of the individual Caribbean and South American islands who dealt with liberation or betterment or independence or this kind of thing. We might start Dominica. We might go Barbados or something else. We'll see. We shall see. But family, if there's no one else going to jump in, I'm going to have to go because I got to get ready to set sign up. We've given you almost 2 hours. You guys have been fantastic. Any last thing you like to say, Brother Cal? You are the special guest today.
Yeah, big up, brother. Just we need to create a lot of like synchronized arbiters in our daily life. That at least just one or a collective that can remind the massive that whatever you say, unsynchronized could affect the rest. So if we were to have that type of movement, then it would limit the unsynchronized statements and comments that we have in our daily life. But other than that, bro, it's always a great show. And yeah, big up to you, Black Betterment.
Black Betterment, Brother Cal. Black Betterment to all Black Betterment. Check you next week. And yeah, have a good one. Thank you, family.